Welcome back to the Denver Radio Real Estate Show. I'm Cheryl Garlock with Colorado Front Range Properties, host of the show and your realtor at large. I want to help you guys, so give me a call. 720-373-0654. And I don't just do radio shows, but I also actually list and sell homes. My very special guest is none other than George Hart with Show Homes Denver. George, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Always good to be back.
Always good to have you here because you bring such great insight into kind of this objective feeling, you know, that sometimes we're not always so objective about it.
That's right.
And I have this particular question I sort of mentioned at the end of the last show segment here about how long do you think it really takes initially for a buyer to decide if they're interested enough in their home, in somebody's home, if they got a home for sale?
Right. You ready for this answer?
Yeah.
It's not my answer.
Yeah.
This came out of the National Association of Realtors.
Yeah.
15 seconds.
I got to tell you, I am going to totally support that because being a realtor and the fact that I show homes a lot to a lot of different buyers, I can tell you by golly that is so true. If you do not capture their attention, it may be even less than 15 seconds
That's
here,
right.
They are not going to stay.
Yep. Listen, ask your viewers right now. Have you ever gone into a home, you walked through the door and you went, nah, but then you walked through anyway just to be nice to the realtor because they opened the house for you. But you wasted your time.
Yeah.
You're in, you're out, gone. Okay, what's the next property?
Right, and not only that, you know, you do have to start this with the going up to the front of the property, the
That's right.
outside, don't you?
Yeah, you do. So from my business perspective, you do three things. One, you got to have great pictures.
Right.
So if you don't stage it, you don't get the, whether you
You
live
can't
there
have
or
great
not, you can't
pictures.
have great pictures. That's right. And so great pictures brings people to the house.
Right.
Once you open the door, 15 seconds, they're going to decide. And you better make an emotional appeal to them with the way the house looks.
Now, you know, you brought up a good point there, the whole concept of the emotional appeal. Remember, this is somebody's oasis. This is where they're going to come home from a long, hard day. This is where they're going to camp out. It is truly their castle.
Listen, I tell owners all the time when we talk about staging, we have two emotional issues. The first one is making an emotional appeal to the buyer. The second, but more important one, is getting you to emotionally detach from this house and sell it as an asset. You have to move away. They have to become emotionally attached.
Well, this is kind of what we're talking about when realtors sometimes say, and honest to God, I got to tell you guys, we as realtors have a tough time going into an owner's home and telling them like it is. You know, I mean, we have to tell them, take away those personal photos,
Right.
put away a lot of the clutter. But this is why you get somebody who's an expert in home staging like George at showhomesdenver.com. That's definitely who you want to have helping you, you know, with detaching, because it's so very often we just don't see through our own stuff.
It's exactly right. It's exactly right. And the whole thing is, I've had a couple people, you know, they ask us the price, right? We're really reasonably priced, but they ask the price and then they go and shop us against a furniture rental store. And they go, oh, I can put furniture in there cheaper than staging it. You didn't stage it.
Well, you know,
just
don't you
put
think
in
it's like
furniture.
buying a theme?
But that's what you are doing. You're buying
Yeah.
a theme. And by the way, when we go in to look at a house, the first question we ask the realtor, tell me what your buyer looks like. Because
Very
we're
good
trying to
question.
make an appeal to them.
Because not all properties are alike there, and so you're looking at it as, if you're smart about selling your property, if your realtor's smart about selling it, first of all, you're going to do is your demographics. Who are your particular buyers? Is this a family? Going to be lots of kids? Is it an empty nester? Is it a young couple
That's right.
situation? You know, really what it is, and you have to design kind of around that. That situation there. So let me ask you this: why don't you think people spend the money to stage their homes?
Because they don't see the value in selling the house faster. They just get wrapped up in the cost of staging it.
You know, I'll tell you right now, you're 100% correct, because I had a seller, really, honest to goodness, honest truth here, real recently. I kid you not, I think we had the property on the market for like $235, and I had said that he could do the staging for very inexpensive. It was a vacant property, he'd owned it. And this is his first mistake. He had a guy, it was just him as a guy doing the design and remodeling of it. He needed a woman's touch, or somebody who's really in this business, pardon me, but he really did. But nonetheless, okay. So I go and I tell him, I say, it's going to cost you about $1,500, something like that. And so, oh no, I don't want anybody in there that could mess something up. I'm going, so what did you do? He took a $15,000 haircut is what he did.
That's right. It's exactly right. And you know, it's funny because when I talk to homeowners, I tell them the price of the staging, which is about that, right? You know, $1,200, $1,300 a month. It's not very expensive. And I ask them, okay, here's two things. If you don't sell the house in a month, you just paid another mortgage payment. How much is that? Right? And it's highly probable that when someone walks in the house, their assessment is how much can I reduce my offer? So do you want to take a $10,000, $15,000 hit? Do you want to make another mortgage payment? Or do you want to pay $1,200 and let some professionals come in and make your house appealing to that buyer?
It's kind of like going shopping, don't you think, George, in a way, in that you can either go down to Costco, which I frequent Costco there too, but if I'm buying clothes, I don't really usually do that. I might go to a department store where sometimes I see mannequins on display.
Right.
Well, they're staged. I don't look as good as the mannequins, but okay, the
But
clothes look better.
They sure make you feel like you want to try them on.
They do make you feel like you want to
That's
try
exactly
them on,
right.
and that's
That's
the
what we're
same thing there.
Yeah.
So,
But-
so how expensive is staging?
Okay, so it's not expensive. It's $1,200, $1,300 a month. Typically, houses on the market a month or two, right? Because of the time that you have with escrow and all that kind of business. So it is typically less than a mortgage payment.
You know, I dare say, I think though in this particular environment that we have right now, particularly in the Denver metro area here, that the cost for that staging is totally offset because of the multiple offers that we are receiving.
So let me tell you a story.
Yes.
We just did a house over in Sunnyside, right?
Yeah, no, Sunnyside,
Yep,
you bet.
Ugly.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness, it was an ugly condo. And so we walked in and spoke to the owner and I told her, I go, look, here are the three things we need to do. And part of it was redoing her floor, some of it was painting the trim, some of it was staging. Let me tell you how fast her house sold. A weekend.
A weekend.
A weekend.
I am not surprised.
Prior to that, you would have walked right out of there because it just had no emotional appeal. It turned out to be a really nice place, but you know, we live in our home, right? We got to convert it into a sellable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, speaking of that, living in our home, okay, and making this conversion situation here happen, what do you do for staging for people who are actually living in their home?
That's right. Okay, so what we do is we go in and first of all, we talk to them about what they have. Normally, number one, declutter.
Yes.
All the lovable memorabilia that's beautiful stuff to you, not beautiful to a buyer. Got to put it
No.
away, right? You're selling. It's time to move. Second thing is we can typically use their furniture and rearrange, and then we bring stuff in to help accent and work around, and we give them, you know, a method to live in their house so it looks good for every show.
Yep, lights, music, the whole 9 yards, everything there. Hey, you know what? We got more coming up from the Denver Radio Real Estate Show, and George Hart with Show Homes Denver is going to tell us more. Joe, tell them the phone number they can reach you at, George.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 303-534-1772.
Hey, listen, stay tuned for more from the Denver Radio Real Estate Show. We got some properties coming your way, and you don't want to miss them. We'll be right back.